Don't bark.
I think that they're going to catch me drinking. Hold on. All right, everybody. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Mission Roll Call Town Hall. As always, I will be one of your hosts, Ray Whitaker. And then, of course, my esteemed guest, as always, is Jim Whaley, the CEO of the organization. Jim, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, Ray?
Oh, man, it's another day. Feels like time is absolutely flying. I was talking to Mike this morning. We were talking about something, and he was like, "Hey," asking the question. I was like, "Yeah, well, I just got that from you yesterday." And he was like, "Nope, I sent that on Monday." I'm like, "It's Tuesday, right?" He's like, "Nope, not Tuesday." I was like, "Okay, maybe I am getting old. I just don't realize it."
I feel the same way. It's like I had this discussion. My wife was talking about something coming up, and I said, "Yeah, that's like the end of July." She goes, "That's next week." I went, "Oh, yeah, okay, gotcha."
Yeah. Well, as always, y'all, we're going to go over a quick agenda for those, give people time to kind of come in here and get situated. We appreciate you guys, as always, coming and hanging out with us. We do this for you guys. A lot of really good conversations that we're looking forward to today. We got a myriad of veteran stories that we really want to kind of piece through today. I think part of what we've always wanted to do inside of Mission Roll Call, Jim knows this with his leadership, is to not always be stuck in the bad. Sometimes we got to tell good stories and talk about good things that are happening. Ronald, good morning to you. Roger, good to see you, buddy. So we're going to do a little bit of that today. We're going to go over a couple of really key subject areas, great articles written by the team, Amy and Yvette and the rest of these amazing contributors that just help us connect with folks. As a reminder for everybody, super important, as always, our monthly survey is live. Like, it's always live, but it is live again. Remember, the beginning of every month, usually first or second, we'll have the survey come up. For this month, we are focusing on taking care of Veterans Act. So you guys can go right here to the Q&A right there, or the QR code, right? I don't know. It's probably 5 minutes if you really take it. That's about how long it's going to take it. These are important questions for you guys. One thing I want to make sure that we say with these is the reason that we have these surveys is because we're listening to you guys, right? And then we're making sure that what you say is getting delivered to those that make the decisions, right? It's not about what Mission Roll Call says. It is about what you say as veterans. It's why all of our priorities are based off of these surveys. Everything that we do inside of the organization is based off of you. So we'd love you guys to stop by, take it 5-10 minutes of your time. And then again, we'll talk about it on the next town hall, which, Jim, I'm sure you're going to be here. It's going to be August 12th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll post up on social and, of course, send this out an email so all of you have it during that time period. As always, if you guys have questions, you want to know something, there's something you've seen, whatever, like, you've got comments that you guys can post. So I see we already got a couple. Ronald post in. We had LinkedIn user. Good to see you as well. Not sure who you are, but both Jim and I are good to see you. But if you guys have questions, you want to say something, you have something to include in what we're discussing, please comment. We love having an interactive town hall. We don't want to just be sitting here talking to the void. Lindsay, good afternoon to you. I hope you're doing well. This is what we enjoy this. Both Jim and I do. So we'd be happy to talk to you guys just a little bit about that. Okay. All right. So the first subject area, Jim, we're going to talk a little bit about this 2026 limited edition shirt. This thing is absolutely love it. I know you got a couple of them. I've got a couple as well. We've launched these. I think these are going through what, November, December time period. We should have these up. At the end of the day, we have two different versions that are here. You have one that says "Still Here." You have one that says "You Matter." The "Still Here" is for the veterans that want to say, "Hey, I'm still here, still doing my thing." And then the ones that say "You Matter," that's for our dependents, that's for the supporters, that's for other folks. The important part of this shirt, on the back of it, everybody's identity is pretty easy. It's your fingerprint, right? So like that's how people identify you. So what we put on the back of the shirt is that exactly. Front of the shirt is a dog tag, because that's how you get identified often in the military. Back of it is the fingerprint. And then inside of that fingerprint is a saying that we put together. So we definitely want you guys, if you're interested, you want to support the organization and the work that we do to continue to professionalize everything that we're doing. This is a great way to do it and get yourself something nice that actually matters. We got a lot of stuff coming up associated with mental health, suicide prevention, and things like that we're going to be researching and focusing on. So,
and it's great quality. It fits well. It breathes well. It's I've gotten a lot of compliments on the shirt I wear. So,
awesome. I got a medium. It just doesn't fit well. I don't know why. It's kind of like a half shirt. It's right above my belly button. It's just awkward.
hanging out.
Yeah. It's just awkward.
Good.
Okay, we didn't have to go that far, Jim. You didn't have to call me fat on.
Well,
on
I'm just saying HR's not on the call, so whatever.
Good to go. Marty, good to see you. Yes, and Marty is absolutely true. Survey is important. Very, very important this time. It's about Takava. So you guys absolutely need to be taking this survey. Okay. Because all we're doing is delivering those results, man. So, you guys and share it with your friends. Don't be shy. Share it. Get it out there. Get people to take that survey because it's an important one. All right, Jim. Hey, I cannot wait for the stories. We've had a lot of really good stories. Last month, we talked a little bit about homelessness. We talked about the importance of, housing and like understanding the problem. It's such a unique problem. And there's so many ranges between, the county, city, state, and even the government level. And oftentimes people look in particular areas, and they don't understand the whole problem. This month, we really wanted to focus in on, service-connected disabilities associated with veterans in general, right? And in some cases, it doesn't just impact the veteran; it often impacts the caregiver, the spouse, the family as well. So I thought what would be cool is the first one, innovations. I think back, and I'm sure you remember, during your time as well. If you had somebody that got injured, lost a leg, lost a limb. Maybe it's a major disability that they've occurred. I mean, the innovations at that point were kind of like null and void. They didn't really exist, right? Like if you couldn't walk, you're not walking. Like there is no such thing as helping you. I found it really interesting that our team wrote the top 6 innovations supporting injured veterans this last month, over the last couple of weeks. And I thought it'd be kind of cool for us to go through it. And the first one, I know you spent a little bit of time with, was like HBOT. So I don't know. What kind of impact from an innovation perspective have you seen HBOT already have?
Well, you read the article and you get a great sense that how much science and technology can change the trajectory of somebody's rehabilitation. And HBOT falls clearly in that category. I think when you read it, you get a sense that folks that have participated in HBOT are converted in the sense that they feel that it made a significant difference in their trajectory of life, on the quality of life. And I think that's so important. And the reason we have these articles is really to share the knowledge so that you may know somebody that, or it could be yourself or a family member that needs this technology and needs this technology to really make a difference in your life. And, I find it wonderfully enthusiastic, I guess, that these technologies are out there and that people are really devoting their lives and working on it. And that folks are participating in it. And in some cases, they're the first ones doing it and they don't know how it's going to work out, So I think that's, and sharing that, I think is really important with other folks. But, that technology 5-10 years ago, you wouldn't even have thought about it. And now, and through our surveys and through our polling and some other things, we've been able to bring that to folks that are making decisions at the VA on funding and folks that are in the House Veterans Affairs Committee and the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee that give them the impact. So I think these stories are important, not only for the veteran community, but for those that companies that are involved with it, to share with those people that are working on it, but also people that are directing funding to these important medical research.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of so we're talking about just like the technology based portion of it. I remember having a buddy of mine lost his arm, and then that was the first time I'd ever seen kind of the electrical arm, and like he could close his hand, and just the way that they did. So I think back then, and that thing was ugly, by the way. We would talk smack to him. I mean, we're veterans, we don't know any better, right? So talking smack to the guy as he's getting it. But I think now, like one of the ones that we had on here was the Rewalk personal exoskeleton, which launched in April of 2025. This thing actually helps veterans stand, walk, turn, and climb stairs. Like that to me is crazy that we've moved that far into a scenario where we can do that. Sergeant Whitney just asked a question here, Jim. We need more information on HBOT treatment to possibly treat veterans soon, to possibly lose their benefits whom have tendonitis. Yeah. So we if you look at what we've done, Sergeant Whitney, and I'll pass it over to Jim also to talk a little bit about this. There is, we had Mike Mertzke come on to I think this is probably 2 or 3 town halls ago, and we'll see if we can't have the team post that up for you. Mike gave a lot of really great recommendations on that. He talks in great detail about HBOT, how they do it, all of that. We got Avalon Action Alliance and a lot of other organizations that we are connected to that are highly focused on the healing powers of what HBOT in general can provide. Jim, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
No, you covered it very well. I think that it's important to realize this is emerging. It's continuing to be developed. It's continuing to be improved, but it's clear. And Mike did a wonderful job explaining it. It's amazing the impact it is having on what gets me is on the wide range of issues that it's addressing to some extent. Right. So the QR code's right there to check that out. But yeah, back to your overarching discussion about technology. I thought the article we had about the gentleman, Army veteran who was paralyzed, I think 2005 from the waist down, and an organization in Tampa worked with him so he could drive. And you think about how much freedom you lose when you can't drive anymore.
That's right.
And we may have older parents that are going through that now. And it's really an emotional experience to lose that driving, but it's a little bit easier when you're older. You got less places, that you need to go to, and your world kind of shrinks a little bit. But when you're a young person and have a family and you have to continue to build your life, that's nearly impossible to do. Yeah. And so to have that technology and to build on that technology to be able to do that, I think is just wonderful, and it's changing people's lives. And you can see in that article how emotional he is about that, how that changed his life.
Yeah, I think the hard part though is like understanding that the resources, the resources are available for those that may need it. Like that's so when I think about
right, and that's the whole purpose of all these articles. It's not only to tell the story, but to get the word out to the community and share it. So we can only be as good as are the people that read the articles and share it with others, to have them come to the website and see these things. I mean, the content on our website is just phenomenal. And for such a small team, it's amazing the amount of professional content they're developing and emotional stories that they're telling, but impactful stories that not only just tell a story, but kind of lead you into a path to find out more about it and get people involved. So,
well, it's because as veterans, I mean, like, look, the chances of me asking for help is probably not going to happen. I mean, right. I'm ingrained to just run as fast as possible and do as many things as possible, problem solve,
right.
So what I find valuable with, in Mission Roll Call, I mean, it's part of the reason that we wanted to create a hub and an ability for folks to come in and be able to find resources. And you tell a story. The interesting thing that I've learned on my side, because I was not somebody that was connected to the VA, right? I mean, I am a fully retired. I do have, but I could go right down the road to a medical facility. I didn't really, the VA was not my thing. But then as I started reading articles from other veterans that were like me, then it almost kind of gave me a comfort that it was like, okay to go and, register the VA. Like I think that that's the power of what the articles do is as I'm problem solving as a veteran, because I don't want to ask for help, I can actually see other people, other veterans, my brothers and sisters that are having these things. And now they're kind of talking to me saying, hey, it's okay to go do this thing. And the next thing you know, it sends you down this path. And it's also why the VA, I mean, you and I have talked a lot about, the HAF, and I know that they're making headway on getting a lot of these veterans, but a lot of these programs, you're never going to find out about the program unless you go to a local VA facility. You go in and you talk to them, and then they provide you the resources. Because if you're trying to look on the internet to find it, man, it's just like, it's hard to find. Like there's so many programs and opportunities that folks just don't know about.
We devote our entire days. I mean, this is our occupation is finding out what's going on in the veteran community, helping the veteran community. And I don't know about you, but every day I see something, I go, I didn't
Yeah,
know
that's
about
right.
that.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
and then you come to find out it's been going on for like 30 or 40
Yeah,
years.
that's
And
right.
you're just like, how do I not know that?
Yeah.
And it's the same with the Veteran Resource Group. You find out there's veteran support organizations that are out there that are focused on certain issues that you're unaware of,
Yeah.
that provide wonderful services and advice to veterans, and that we just need to share that information. So that's, to your point, that's the whole reason why we wanted that hub, so that people can come and find it. And it's continuing to grow. We're continuing to expand, but we're really, the success is really dependent on all the listeners, all the followers, to share it
Yeah.
with other people and bring them into it so that they understand it. It can change your life.
Yeah.
Very quickly. We've had many times where people have called either after these discussions that we're having on this live stream, or even just an email or a text message. I just saw one today where the team is working for someone, and we'll get them in the right direction. And that's the best part of the job for me.
That's right. Yeah.
Is at the end of the day, okay, maybe we didn't solve the problems for 1,000 veterans today, but we did make a difference in, John or Martha.
That's right.
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 And it was a not only a little change, it was a huge change.
Yeah.
And to me, that's really important. So
yeah, what is it? Like impacting one's better than impacting zero, impacting two is better than impacting one, right? Like it's a scaled effect.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, we're all human. We're all going to make mistakes. I think
Sure.
sometimes we forget that, I wish we had all 24 hours to work on things, but the reality, man, is we all have our own lives. We have our own families. You only live for so long, and service for others is, I truly believe, the one thing that you can do in life that's rewarding all the time. But you got to take care of yourself too, man. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others. So it's an interesting paradigm that, when a person's walking in the door and they need something, for them, that is like the most important. And honestly, it probably is like that is like, to them, that is the thing. But we talk about empathy. You never know you never know what's going on in that other person's, life across the table from you. And I always try to sit there and think that.
And I know you, and I know the members of our team, and almost all of them would never ask for help. It's just the way they are. They're focused on everyone else. So I think that anytime you're talking to a veteran, or you have a veteran approach us and they're asking for help, they are at the end of the line.
That's right.
To ask that question. And so we stop what we're doing and we focus on it. And I know that's a flaw that many of us have, of not asking for help and not sharing some struggles that we may have. And us guys are more apt to do that, especially the older you get. We're here to solve problems, not ask for help. But it's important to ask for help before it gets to a point that it's desperate and you don't have time and all those sort of things. So I hope that people get a chance to read these articles and really think about it and share it with folks. Chances are somebody that would benefit from that article, so please share it. I think the other thing it does, Ray, is it shows that we all, in some way, shape, or form, have things that we're carrying in our rucksack.
Yeah, none of us are perfect. Like it's just
I mean, I'm closer than you, but
I'm at the tippy top, right? So I'm like at the 99.9% of being perfect, right? But there's still a very small margin of 0.0001%, like it's no. I need you to close your hands. All right. Anyway, so Heather just wrote, Jim said the VA is much like a restaurant chain. Some locations are better than others. I had constant issues with my local VA, but I moved, and the local VA near me now is excellent. We need to practice patient with the VA staff. Yeah. I mean, I think Jim could talk a little bit about this, but here's the reality. I could think of anywhere that I go, think of any industry, any restaurant. I don't care where you go, right? Like if I'm going to buy clothes, the location I go to, a lot of it, again, is dependent on the person that you talk to at that point, right? And then their interpretation of the rules and the process and like all of those things. With the VA, especially now, this point in time, the most that we've seen is like there's a positive, there is a positive movement forward, right? Like let's remove some of the barriers. Let's make things. These are all things that, of course, all of you, because again, we're echoing what we're hearing from you. Hey, it's taking too long for me to get my specialty care. Cool. Okay. We would deliver that to the VA and then off they go to figure out why that's happening, right? Why is it taking so long for mental health type appointments or gastrology type appointments and things like that? So I think a lot of this, if for nothing else, because again, for our part of this is we're the, that middle man or woman, if you will, that's kind of pushing things right and left. What we see is the acceptance of feedback. And we love that inside here at Mission Roll Call. We said that 100 times. We're not going to be perfect. I mean, that's just humans aren't in general. But the one thing we always strive to get is feedback. That's the one thing that I love about your comment, Heather, is like, that's what we feel about many of, especially the VA at our level where we're at, right? Because we primarily are speaking, and that's Mike Desmond and where he spends the majority of his time. And then, of course, Jim. So I don't know if you had any other comments on that, Jim.
Yeah, I love the analogy, and she's so spot on about it. I mean, it's important to remember that the VA is bigger than the United States Army. I mean, the size and scope is just unbelievable. So think about changing something Army-wide. And that's the same kind of time and hurdles that the VA secretary and his new staff is trying to get over. But I am impressed that they've been responding to situations that we presented to them that said, hey, there's a problem here, and they've reacted. They didn't get defensive about it. They found out and worked on it. And I also think they've taken out a whole layer of management so that they can be more streamlined, and they're holding the accountability, the people in charge of those hospitals to make to improve. And the metrics they're using is a little bit more based on what veterans are telling them versus some benign internal metric that really didn't have anything to do with customer relations. So I think that will be important. But as well as I do, you can go to a huge change hardware store, and you go to one, and they meet you at the door, and they're helping you find stuff. And then the other one you go to, not so much. So I think there's always a challenge with quality control against around big organizations, and getting that change management through in a expeditious type way is always a challenge for senior leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. Heather also said, thank Mission Roll Call for these discussions. Hey, we love it. We love doing this. More importantly, thank you all. So all the veterans, all the family members, all the others that provide your feedback, right? And you guys are taking the surveys, because that is the most important part of this. And Stephen, to kind of pull yours into this comment, the government needs to stop messing around with veteran benefits. Problem solved. Our nation could afford to take care of those of us who have injured from combat. This is a great segue into why the surveys and all of this is so important, because it's an unbiased, apolitical look. But that means you guys have got to take it, right? When Jim and I came into this, and our entire team, it was really interesting to see that it's the one thing that was missing, our voice, right? Like there is no, at the end of the day, it's your voice. You get to cast it. Same thing when we elect leaders into positions and everything else, but you've got to step forward. You've got to get that voice heard. Imagine when you have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of veterans that are talking about things. All of a sudden, it's very clear. And I think that that's the big part of everything that we stand for here, and we will continue to do as time moves forward. But Jim, let me get through the rest of these.
Yes,
the other really innovative things that we talked about in this one, which I love, like I never thought about immersive virtual reality and PTSD and pain. This kind of took me into I started like researching this a little bit to figure out what this was, but there's like 1,450 VR headsets across 165 VA facilities. So they're basically using these to help with PTSD, and they're seeing, goods, some really cool things are coming out of it. So I'm really interested. I want to dig a little bit deeper in that one. Thought that one was interesting. I knew that there was a VA Auto Act, associated with vehicles and like the grants and how much money. Usually it's around 27K or so. So, if somebody is, maybe they need to turn, I know some folks have seen like I don't know what you call it, but like the ball that's on the wheels to help people turn, or the gas pedal brakes, or maybe it's for a wheelchair ramp, things like this. These are like This is like an entire program that has a process and a very easy way for veterans that may be inside of this with service connected disabilities that they can actually go in and get these grants and get support. And a lot of these are starting at the other thing. The last one, we talked a lot about this, was PTSD coach and VA mobile health tools. iOS, Android have come a long way in providing care. If you remember right, Jim, back in 2025, this was like one of our questions, right? We had this question that was basically asking if would veterans use an online healthcare portal if one were available? And basically 74% were like
Yeah.
yes. Like we need that. We want that. This is exactly what we want. So based on use, it seems the VA has moved closer to having an online system. But I wanted to get your thoughts, Jim, like why is having that online system so important, especially in the age that we're in now?
Yeah. Well, before I answer that, I'll go to how important that survey was to get the VA to think about it. I think everyone thought there would be a much lower acceptance rate to try something like that. And when they saw that number, they went, okay, that makes a difference. So that's why these surveys are so important. In terms of the conductivity that provides to veterans, it's really immense, especially when you're talking about rural veterans, veterans that are isolated for whatever reason, to be able and expeditiously the shortening the time to get the help that you need because you can do it online, I think is so important. I also feel like many veterans just don't have the capability to take off from work or take off from responsibilities to drive a certain amount of distance to get to the VA facility that they want and waiting on the time frame to do that. I think this is, you see more and more healthcare providers providing this. I think because we're all more adaptable now to our phones and using it for a variety of ways, I think the general populace is more apt to use it. So I think we're seeing a dynamic change here to be able to use technology to be able to help people before it becomes a crisis, before there's a huge issue, and reaching people that up to now maybe weren't being reached. So, I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see an exponential growth in that ability to do that. And you're going to be able, through the use of technology and be able to get support quicker. And maybe because of that, we're going to see people be able to access benefits a lot faster, to be able to get mental health issues before it becomes an issue. I mean, you and I, Ray, have talked about what a difference it would make if we, the week or so that we had gotten out of the military, if somebody had called us and said, hey, heard you just got out of the military and you're living in whatever town, hey, let's get together. Imagine if we can do that virtually, at least a first introductory call that says, hey, how can we be helpful? How's your transition going? Or somebody who's been out for a while that is struggling to find their tribe. And this can help them find a group of people to get involved with, maybe go for a run, maybe get involved with whatever sporting event that would help them. I mean, it brings me to the adaptive sports when you see that and getting people involved with it. You don't have to need adaptive sports to be involved with the adaptive sports program. Just going out and cheering people like that. So I think it just helps bring people together and get them the help and assistance that they need. The more we can do that, the better off we are, because nothing's more frustrating than when you really need something to try to look on a Google search on something you don't even know what to really type in. And after about an hour of search, you haven't got what you want. You're more frustrated than when you even began.
Yeah.
So I think I answered that, but went down a couple rabbit holes.
Yeah, you serpentine, which is good. Like we always love the serpentine.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, I think one of the interesting things as you were talking, I was thinking about this, like with Operation Honor Royal Salute. Okay, let me back up a little more. Being inside of a nonprofit, I think you and I both have an opportunity to, it's good and bad, not think about our own things, We spend a lot more time seeing and hearing from folks that need things. So you almost become way more sensitive to like the folks that are around you, and you really start to understand things, right? Like, so there's a lot of things I just didn't know. Like, I didn't understand that there's a very large percentage of veterans that don't have what we would call acceptable internet connection, right?
Yeah,
I didn't even think that that was possible,
I know.
to be fair. Like that was not even something that I thought happened. Doesn't make sense to me, but it's an unbelievable number. I had no idea that we didn't really know how many veterans were homeless. I didn't understand that we really didn't know how many veterans are committing suicide each year. Like all of these are compounding issues that you really start to focus in, and you realize that a lot of this is that, like, there is a disconnect, right?
Yeah.
And the thing I love about this in particular is, like, this is going to be helpful, and it's going to be helpful for a group of folks, right? The group that has connection to internet, they have the ability, they can do it. But then you have groups like Operation Honor Rural Salute, that's in a rural environment with folks that may live in the mountains. They may not have the connectivity that they need. We went
Yeah.
to her event here in North Carolina, and I remember going there, and she actually brought out many of these organizations to do health screening and stuff like that on the spot, right? Like, and that type of impact is really, really important. But sometimes it's hard to look past where you are in life and like look at other folks, or look at something that you went through and say, hey, I want to focus. I mean, some of the best nonprofits are started by people that something happened and then they
Oh yeah,
realign their life to now they don't want anybody to ever go through that again in their life. So they now have created a nonprofit to fix that gap because
exactly.
they found this issue or this thing. So that
Yeah.
came to my mind as you're talking about it. We have a lot of work to do. This is not fixed yet. It's not perfect. I just appreciate the fact that we're moving towards a solution that
Mhm,
folks can find the help that they need no matter where they are. We just got to
mhm.
keep expanding it and keep echoing it out so that the one veteran that needs the help actually hears it and
Right.
knows that it's a system that they can use. You know what I mean?
Or and the family member and the
Right.
caregiver, and that's why the surveys are open to all of those, because it's an ecosystem
That's right.
that works or doesn't work. That's important, and that's why these conversations are important, and the connection, I think, between veteran support organizations to be collaborative and to be
Yeah. Yeah.
sharing of knowledge and say, hey, we have John and we've helped him with this, but we're really not an expert in this. Can you help out?
That's right, man.
And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and making sure that the handoff and the continuity and all happens. And I think the more we realize that there's not a finite amount of success or finite amount of resources in the world, and that we can work with each other is important and makes a difference. And
Yeah.
that's why these
Absolutely.
symposiums that we have are so important, to bring those people together to share ideas and share best practices and help each other, just like you would help your neighbor. Right? I mean, you don't negotiate with your neighbor on a hose if his house is on fire, right? You just run over there and help.
Yeah.
And it's the
Yeah.
same idea
Yeah.
with what we're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Kay just made a note, and this is an example to me of community and like having a tribe, right? I was homeless for over a year after my husband passed. Kay, we condolences for you. We're absolutely thinking for you, obviously. Connection with my community as a volunteer is what led me to finding support for my situation. I'm no longer homeless, and community is key. And it's like it's the hardest thing. I don't care how many times well, nobody really told me as I was transitioning, but like I know we spend a lot of time now with military service members and families that are transitioning, telling them find your tribe, find your tribe, find your tribe, like find people, right? Like, because that connection of people is really what helps you through. Because again, it's the experience, it's the understanding, it's the empathy, it's the kind, it's all of these things
Yeah.
that we and plus we're humans. Humans are supposed to be connecting with other people, man. Like being alone in a room and not having that connection is
Not
just
good.
not, we're not programmed for that just as a species. So this is not like, it's not me. I'm not a scientist, by the way. But it's very clear based off of, just being in this space for a long time and seeing the impact of the opposite. I've never seen anybody that has that community around them and the connection ever go as fast as somebody that doesn't, right? So to me, I just, I try to in my mind think, is there a positive of having that tribe or that community? And it seems very clear. The other thing here, Jim, is a Trail to Recovery Veterans Program. Just noted, community is absolutely essential. Encouraging friendships, bonds, and unity is what will defeat isolation and keep veterans alive. And I don't know if you wanted to comment on that one, Jim.
Yeah, I think from a personal standpoint, every time we've seen somebody really in a bad way, on the verge of making a bad decision, it's because they're so isolated. And there's a number of reasons why that may have happened. But I think anytime we can make those connections and break up that chain of events, and let's face it, any one of us on any given day has a bad day, but you string a couple together and then you got an issue. So I find, and I think the last comment was, it struck me that she volunteered at a place and then found the way.
That's right.
And I think so think about it. She's struggling. She's got a lot going on, and she took the time to volunteer. So that tells me a lot about her. But it paid back twofold, threefold on being a volunteer. And we're really, like I've always said, veterans are very good at helping other veterans. We're not too good at helping ourselves. But by volunteering, other people will see you and get involved. So, and it, and it doesn't have to be a lifelong decision on what organization you plug into. Many of us are involved with a number of different organizations. And you do what you can based on the amount of time and resources that you have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, completely agree.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this was to me very, very interesting with the innovations. The next part you mentioned it a little bit, Jim. So the second article I want to talk a little bit about was adaptive sports. I had an opportunity, you've had an opportunity with adaptive sports to go out, be around these athletes, because let me tell you, they're absolute athletes.
Unbelievable.
To see somebody that has had one of the most catastrophic things happen to them in their life, and then to see them out doing athletic stuff and smiling and just like, I think what it did for me back, this is probably 12 years ago. What it did for me, like personally, is it made me just recalibrate what I thought was issues, recalibrated my own mind to go, hey man, if this person, it gave me hope and it made me push harder, because I realized that, man, somebody always has it worse in many ways. That doesn't mean that I shun it, I pack it away. That's not it. What that means, though, is what I'm watching what this person is doing, which is coming into an environment where they're around their brothers and sisters. They're competing. They got the competitive side, which we know veterans are. They have an opportunity to do something that they love: cycling, softball, basketball, fishing, whatever that thing is. Yeah. And then again, they're around their tribe, which keeps coming back to community and being around folks that are like you and that understand you. So Jim, I think from your perspective, I was just interested to know, how important is it to have these type of programs available to veterans, right? To have the ability, I mean, and it doesn't just have to be the adaptive side, but I do think that adaptive sports in general, as you mentioned earlier, you don't have to be an adaptive athlete to go and support these. Like you can go out, volunteer, be part of it, and interact with folks that in many cases have given some of their own body, right, or their own mind, or their own mental ability to do what they do. So I'll kick it over to you.
If you need to rekindle your inspiration of humanity, go volunteer for an adaptive sports event. The joy that you see that they take on just competing is incredible. And you may approach it with, I got a flat tire, I had this issue, and then you see what they're overcoming. And it puts the whole world in perspective. It's vital that we have these type of events, because it brings people together. It also brings those families together to share. I mean, you look up in the crowd of those type of events and you see parents getting together, wives, husbands, spouses, kids, sharing stories. There is a built-in comradeship between them because they've all gone through these issues, everything from getting the right equipment for the event to overcoming to overcoming fear to do those events, right? To overcome embarrassment in some cases to do those events, but and you won't, and you don't have a dry eye when you see it, because it really is quite emotional to see those type of events. But I think great nations do great things.
That's right.
And our ability to be able to host those type of events and fund those type of events are important. And it also gives a hope that life continues in a different way, but life continues and sports continues. And all of us that have played sports, that never goes away. That little spark of competitiveness and wanting to get out there and be better is important. And so the PGA has a great event that they do. And I think we have an article about that I read some time ago. And there's a number of different organizations as well that do that. And we were involved with one when we were at the USO.
Warrior Games and Invictus Games. And that's Trail to Recovery Veterans Program is actually talking about that right now. I did Warrior Games and Marine Corps trials, and giving non-physically disabled personnel a chance to take part was amazing to build that community and camaraderie. And you keep hearing, like, again, it's the same. Everybody that's listening, right? For those that are here, I know I have buddies now that ask me, hey, like, what's the one thing I could do? And I always now I'm leaning, find a community, find a tribe. You're first and foremost. If you want to be in the business world, you want to find yourself as a CEO, a COO, you want to be an executive of an organization, find yourself mentorship, right? Find you folks that are veterans, that understand you, that can help guide you to that goal that you're looking for, right? So I love that, Trail. Thank you so much as always. I know you often come, so we appreciate you coming in and helping. So the other stuff with adaptive sports, Jim, like I had never heard of Paralyzed Veterans of America prior to. I remember you being you testifying in front of, I think it was the House committee, and I was like, man, who are these guys? Had not heard of them before, so I immediately went in and started reviewing the organization. And what I learned is they've been running programs for like 80 years.
Since the end of World War II, 1946 is when they started.
That is crazy to me. And I'm sure you've had an opportunity to talk to, I mean, the gentleman that was there, because it seems like it's the same gentleman each time that I think that I remember seeing, very devoted. And I know they've done a lot for, the paralyzed community in general, and for those with, hardships. I mean, it's just, again, it's a testament of an organization and an individual, that's coming forward. We talked about the Warrior Games, Invictus Games. These are both events that you and I have spent time with. We had an opportunity to be part of these. Just amazing to see those. You got the PGA for Hope, which you were talking about, which is helping our patriots everywhere. Basically, it runs a 6 to 8 week adaptive golf curriculum through the PGA. So they have PGA professionals and pros that come out and actually spend time and teach. And then I think the most important part of all of this is just understanding the VA has a really, really good adaptive sports grant program. So if there's organizations out there that do things for adaptive athletes, right, then they should absolutely consider that. But more importantly, if you are an individual that has a service-connected disability, your entry point is your local VA medical facility, right? So when you go in, you get your checkups, whatever those things are, you can actually go through, and they've got a lot of really cool stuff, man. Archery, cycling, wheelchair, softball, hunting. I went on a fishing trip many moons ago, man, and it was probably one of the funnest things I'd ever did. And to be fair, it wasn't the VAs. So I'm throwing this perspective as just some random guy that I knew. So I wasn't sure what I was expecting, but I tell you what, that night that we spent, it went from fishing to sitting around a fire, telling jokes, making s'mores, making fun of each service. Because like you have to do that. That's what you do,
of course.
Then it went back to somebody opening up, like, because now we all feel comfortable around each other. So now we start having conversations about hardships in our own life. And one of the guys had recently got a divorce and was like, so it just, the connectivity after that. And I still talk to those guys, man. I mean, I feel like I serve with them, but realistically, we just met at a fishing hole one day and spent a day together.
Cool. That's cool.
But yeah, so anyway, those programs I think are really good. It's something that we can we could consider. The third article that I just wanted to hit on slightly, Jim, and then ask you a question about this was redefining independence after injury. We taught the last town hall about homelessness or unhoused, depending on, the name doesn't really matter. End of the day, if you don't have somewhere to have stable housing. What I found interesting with this article, one of the very top line things that the author basically was talking about was that housing that fit the service connected disability was like probably one of the most important aspects, right? So if you're having problems, walking and you don't have your shower fixed appropriately, or you don't have safeguards in the house, like all of these things are things that you have to consider. It's just, again, it's not something I've ever had to deal with, but I love the educational part here that's there. Well, again, the VA has specially adapted housing programs and grants that allow you, and this is good money. Like, I mean, they're putting a lot of money. So I wanted to ask you, we get contacted a lot about like finding homes, benefits, transportation, mental health support. I mean, there's a lot of these that come through. As an organization, we are primarily focused on particular things, but then we built this, what we call our coalition around us, and what we call service providing organizations, right? The ones that are like out absolutely impacting veterans every single day, right? Through the Veteran Resource Directory and what they're doing. I wanted to ask you, we have the VRD, but I'm hoping you could talk a little bit about America's Warrior Partnership, our relationship with them, and then kind of their support to veterans as one avenue, because we got lots of folks on the VRD, but I know AWP is unique in one way because you come into a pipeline and then you're pushed out to some of these resources depending on where it's at.
Yeah. I look at them as the great partner and facilitator to get the actual help that veterans need in a timely manner. And they have proven partners in that process to do that. And they have the experience to do that. And that's the whole reason of why we put a coalition together, because if you're trying to figure this out all by yourself, time goes by, frustration builds in, and chances are you're not going to find the right path. And so having organizations and partners to address issues and and address it in a geographical manner. So, we have a huge country. So if you're in Georgia, that's a different case than if you're in Montana, but you got to have people and organizations to be able to do that. So, and that's where all these partnerships come in, and why it's so important for us as a community to get involved with each other. Veterans issues are not going to be solved by anybody but veterans. And I say that because now I've been doing this for a while. We have the passion, but more importantly, we have the expertise. We have the ability, because we're plugged into so many different companies and so many different organizations. And it's part of our ethos to help each other and not leave somebody behind. So I think that's why these coalitions that we put together, and I'll stop right there and just say that when we reach out to another veteran support organization, in most cases, the far majority of the cases, they're eager to partner. And they're eager to be part of the coalition because they understand it's an environment that we have to work together to solve. There's just too many challenges and issues to be solved that you can't do it yourself, and you need people to do it. And I've had more than one occasions where it's a phone call from one CEO to another to make it happen, because of the time constraint and things like that. But I guess that all being said, the fuel of that engine is people and volunteers. So it's important for us to continue to serve in any way that we possibly can. There's sometimes you're recipient of service, and there's sometimes you're the giver of, and sometimes it happens at the same time, based on one of our callers today, right?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I want a good question down here from Bert. Like, look, you guys that are here listening, okay, if you guys don't know us well, we love passion and we love good questions. And boy, Bert came flying in with a question. So we're not scared to answer these questions. Bert asked, is Wounded Warrior Project new CEO taking care of all the crap that the last person did. We won't say that word. So what I will say, Bert, let me start with this. First thing, we're in another organization, so it's kind of hard for us to one, identify maybe which person you're talking to prior to the current CEO of
and the time frame that we're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing is if you look right above here, you're going to see a QR code. We had an opportunity to speak with the Wounded Warrior Project CEO. Jim sat down with him and had a conversation as he come onto the team and kind of laid things out about the direction and some of the stuff that he wants to go. I would ask you, I'd love, Bert, for you to go and watch. I mean, this is why we bring these, Jim was just kind of talking about like the coalition. I have a lot of other comments about that, kind of an open book, which is part of the problem. But the idea of the coalition and bringing in folks that have a simple idea, take care of veterans. Like that's it. Yeah. But the hard part of what we do as an organization and every nonprofit is, first and foremost, most nonprofits are fueled by money. Right. You got to go towards the direction of the beat, because you can't impact veterans without some sort of stable funding come in. And in some cases, it makes it hard. Right. So what we're seeing in the veteran space and the hardships that we see right now with a lot of these organizations, it's hard for them to work together, because the number one thing they're most worried about is the fact that they're going to lose funding. Right. If I work with you and you work with me, you're going to take my partners, my sponsors, because maybe somebody has done that in the past. And we're trying to change that, because we're coming in going, hey, man, you do you. We're not like we have nothing to do that. And in many ways, we're trying to help on that offset. But I think what the Wounded Warrior Project is doing and will continue to do, from our seat anyway, and what we can see, again, we're not in their business every day. We're not operationally part of the organization. It's what we see, the support that they're providing is in a positive manner. And Jim, I'll kick it over to you for any other comments on his question.
I know I could count on one hand the amount of people that have the commitment that Walt Pyatt, the CEO of Wounded Warrior Project, has for veterans and their families. I've known Walt for many years. We were captains together in Panama. He was an infantry officer and I was an aviator. We had young families at the time, but we also went to the same college together. So I've known him for some years, and then a lot of break of time of not working together. But now I know he and his entire organization is doing great work and changing lives just like we are. We all fall short. Every organization does. And we all try our best every day. So I'm sure that any organization could be criticized for whatever. But I know his heart and soul's in it, and so's his wife. So that's I can assure you of that.
Well, I mean, that's all you can do, right? Like we do the best we can. Yeah. So Bert, man, appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
Thanks for asking these questions. We love these questions, by the way. You guys keep as we have these, remember, we usually have, next one will be August 12th, I think is the date again. You guys come to these, we have really good conversations, and we may speed these up over time. They may become more, they may happen more and more, but we'll see as time goes on. Right now, bi-monthly or every 2 weeks, we're having these for you guys. James said, not a veteran, though that doesn't stop me from praying for everyone who protects us from those who wish to do U.S. harm. World's war against powers and principalities, sadistic, idealistic beliefs, systems that martyr destroy the souls of human. I was a roadkill and know how some of the greater struggle than someone else. Please don't give up the need. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, we volunteer. Volunteer is easy, right? To ensure we have democracy and freedom. I mean, and that's just the American way of life. So appreciate you, James, for supporting veterans and, of course, their families.
Yeah.
Often folks forget about families, right? It's very easy to be like, this is a personal opinion. Okay. You can mark this wherever you need to mark it, but, yeah, ching, got him. But yes, as a veteran, I deserve many things based off the contract that I signed with the government. That's fine. But I also have a family. That family also signed that, but a different way, right? When they stay with me. So I hope that if and when I no longer am on this planet, that somebody will not forget that they were here for me when I needed, right? So I think there's another whole part of this. I don't want to get philosophical here on this, but like I sometimes see that doesn't always happen. And I just want to make sure that we all think about that. Okay, Jim, final things we have today, because we're getting close now. We got about 6 minutes left here. Right. We don't want to keep people too late. People got to take naps like the older folks.
I know. And my nap time is coming up. So I appreciate that.
All right. First and foremost, honor wall. A lot of veterans here, folks that support veterans. We've got an honor wall up. We really want to start cranking away at this thing. Okay. Veterans Day comes. Usually what we start to do right around the beginning of September is we start pushing stories out about veterans. There's a link here. If the staff doesn't mind posting this on social as well, just go ahead and post the link up in the comments for everybody. If you know a veteran that you want to thank for their service, you have a story to tell, and you got a photo or whatever, please post this up, man. We love, more than anything, we'd like to read the stories and hear the stories. And it also helps because we share this also with lots and lots of organizations because we want them to be there. So you guys take a little bit of time. We'll see if we can't put that stuff in there.
Yeah.
Second thing, Jim, we got the MPO symposium that's happening this week. I know you're going to be up in Pennsylvania doing some stuff. I just wanted to do a quick question for you. Can you give me an overview of the symposium in general that's going to be happening in Pennsylvania? And then the second part is what's the overall goal of the symposium?
Yeah, I'll combine those two things. The purpose really is to come together in different organizations in a geographical area, all of them coming from different perspectives of what their veteran support organization does, and see how we can partner for the greater good. Share best practices, share challenges, share ideas, and provide some lessons learned that we've heard from other organizations that of technologies, of policies and procedures that have been helpful in that work. We don't have the answers to everything. Every geographical area has its own challenges and its own issues, but it's important to bring people together. And you'd be surprised. We could have veteran support organizations that are literally miles away from each other, maybe even in the same town and city, for decades that have never really contacted each other or worked with each other. That's not really a fault of anybody, because we're all busy and sometimes we forget to do that. But this is a way for us to get together, share ideas. And I'll tell you what, the ones that I've participated in, you come up with a lot of energy and a lot of new ideas. But the other thing I come up with is hope. You know, when I look at the talent in the room and the passion for what they're doing, I'm like, man, this is going to work out. Yeah, we got to fix A, B, and C, but man, we're doing so many other great things here. This is wonderful. If we can just do this over here. So I'm excited about it. Plus you get to meet new people, new ideas, constantly learning new things, and seeing people that may not have served, that have passion and have devoted their adult lives. I mean, think about that. They could have went to any corporation and made X amount of money and been very successful in the business world. And now they're successful in a different field because they have a passion for it. And I just think that's wonderful. I mean, we all define success for ourselves, right? I mean, if you let somebody else define success for you, you're never happy. But if you can find out what makes you tick, what you take pride in, what you are good at, and you can do that by helping others, I just think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, so these are very important. Marley did note more veteran orgs need to work together. Good on you guys for making that happen. Excellent. Yeah, and Marley, look, if if the organization only lasts another 6 months, it lasts a year and a half, 4 years, 5, who knows? Nonprofits should exist in VSOs because there's a need, right? And it's part of the reason that Mission Roll Call's here. There is a need right now, and we're doing everything we can to combine people. Absolutely. We need the veteran service organization space and the nonprofit organization space, because many veterans also go to MPOs. That don't have to be a 501c3 to see a veteran for many of the issues. If we can just get folks to understand the importance of working together, man, a lot of these issues that we're seeing, many of these will start to lessen. It's not, we're not segmenting. If I know somebody needs help, man, Jim mentioned earlier, I know organizations that I can send them to. And you're doing your job. It's still a service action that I'm completing. So if I take Jim and I send him over to America's Warrior Partnership, he can't. That's still, if I track that as a serviceable and I need to for funding, I can track it. I sent Jim to, AWP, and he got the support that he needed. Right. And so the more that we can create that process and that program, the better. The problem's going to be is the government's it's not really their responsibility to make sure VSOs and MPOs are working together. Right. Like that's our job to be cultivating in that. And I know, Jim, that's what you guys are going to be doing at the MPO symposium.
Yeah. And by listening, we spend a lot of time, we kick off those meetings listening to them, not us presenting who we are. Right.
Sure.
And I think that's important. It sets the tone, but it's also important for us to then share what we've learned with key people in the VA, key people in the administration, key people in government, key people in the media and press, so that they understand. Because the disconnect between the media and the press world and the volunteer force is huge. They just don't have a connection. And we can help bridge that with the connections we make at these different events.
Awesome. Well, Jim, as always, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today. Again, for everybody that's here, August 12th, we'll be back 11 a.m. Central Standard Time or 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We hope all of you guys have a wonderful next couple of weeks together. We're looking forward to coming back to you guys. Make sure you guys go and take the survey. Super, super important. Thank you all for your service. If you're a family member, thank you for letting us borrow your family member for service. And as always, we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.